All right, good evening and welcome to the Orange Board of Finance regular meeting. Today's Monday, January 27th. We call the meeting to order at 7:02. And we'll start by having everyone introduce themselves, beginning on my right.
Anna Mann.
Kevin McNabola.
John Cifarelli, Finance Director.
Michelle Loso, Sewer to Monday.
Andrew Switek, Sewer to Monday.
Deb Satonic.
Joe Nuzzo.
Jim Leahy.
Ajit Jain.
Kevin Houlihan, thank you very much. Item 3, public dialogue. We have no one here from the public, so we'll move on to item number 4, annual audit review and vote to accept audit. Michelle and Andrew, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
All right, as usual, we'll run through the various schedules, make some various comments, and please don't hesitate to interrupt.
Just like we did last year, we'll just try to get at the pages you're talking about on the
Absolutely.
screen, and
We will
once
try
we
to
get
do
in a rhythm, we'll be all good to
Yeah.
go, I think.
So I'll make some general comments first, and then we can get into the good stuff. Obviously, I want to thank the town and Board of Ed staff for their continued support and hard work they put into getting me and my staff all the items we need to get this done. In this annual financial report, what you'll see on page 1, so I will take you to that. So it'll be your page.
Page 4, I
Four.
believe. Yeah.
Right there. This is
Yep.
the start of our independent auditor's report. It
Well,
now
Sorry
runs
about that.
3 pages long. It's an unmodified, clean opinion on the governmental activities, business-type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information. Also, to note, there's no material non-compliance with laws and regulations reported, no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses over financial reporting. We did issue one management letter, again, with remaining one little comment regarding a personnel manual. Let's see, what did we say, 2018?
Oh, that's on that other one,
It is,
the other
it
file,
is.
right? Yeah.
So no other management letter comments at this point. As Kevin mentioned, we also do the federal and state single audits. Federal single audit, unmodified, clean opinion over compliance with the major programs, no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. Orange federal expenditures this past year were about 1.5 million. A major program tested was the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. A lot of the ESSER and Board of Ed funds will be going away this next year. And, well, not this year, but the threshold is going to raise to $1 million for 6/30/26. So we'll see how that plays out going forward.
So we have those documents,
that.
we just don't have them up on the screen.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
Again, we also perform a state single audit, unmodified clean opinion over compliance there as well. We receive about 2.9 million in state assistance. About 1.8 of that is exempt from testing, and that's mainly excess cost and special ed money, as well as some municipal revenue sharing dollars. So basically, we have 1.1 million that's subject to our testing. Generally, it's the Silverbrook Estates Congregate Services Subsidy, as well as town aid roads and municipal grants in aid. And then I'll turn a little bit more of the presentation over to Andrew, and we will start going through some of the financial statements on the screen there.
All right. Hey, Andrew.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So, as I always begin, we don't go into extreme detail in the financial statements here tonight. We do touch upon certain important areas, but pages 4 to 12, which would be your 7 to 15 in the PDF, would be right there as your management discussion and analysis, which goes into a lot of more detail, some calculations and comparisons to prior year, and give you some highlights to what happened in fiscal year '24. So it's a nice summary read that goes into a little bit more detail than we do tonight. After the management discussion and analysis, going to the statements, in the front of the report, starting on page 16.
Page 16 or? the
PDF.
PDF 16, yes.
Thank you,
I'll try to
Right there.
right there. All
use
right,
the
thank you.
PDF page so you can just go right to it.
You're assuming that I'm a guy that can do that, but I think I'm a guy who knows how now. Thank you. You've taught me that.
So on these couple, the first financial statements here, the government-wide, including the business-type activities, shows the activity of the town, including all types of capital assets, leases, loans, items like pension, OPEB, and the long-term lease receivables that are now accounted for on these financial statements. Overall, the town's total net position at the bottom of this page ended at $33.6 million. From fiscal year '23, this was an increase of $8.9 million. So it's a large increase. Contributors of that were strong tax collections, expense monitoring, various changes to various charges for services and investment income that did well. We'll see that later on in the general fund budget to actual analysis. There was also a change in the pension and OPEB-related expense calculation, which will change numbers significantly based on an accounting. Insurance cost increases, contractual obligations, salaries, benefits, and overall education costs. Included in here, as I mentioned, were capital assets. The town accounted for $2.7 million of capital asset additions in fiscal year '24. There was a property purchase for $375,000. Fred Wolf Park in the community center received improvements totaling around $900,000, and overall road improvements of $1.5 million were picked up in capital assets this year.
Okay, is that this page, or you're just giving us an overview beyond?
Kind of an overview of when you look at comparing the numbers from year to year, when you look at
Okay.
these statements, those are kind of the highlights.
All right.
Can get lost in the numbers, so we try to give you the,
No,
the top line notes.
all right, good.
After these statements on pages would be 18 to 21 of your PDF are the governmental fund statements.
These ones here?
Yes, so this, as you guys are well aware of, shows all of your major funds, starting with the general fund on the left, and then goes across and ends with other governmental funds, which are all of the smaller aggregate funds that are not major, lumped together in one column. The general fund, on the bottom left of that page, you'll see fund balance there ended at $23.5 million. There was an increase in fund balance of $3 million from fiscal year '23. Again, favorable revenues overall, strong tax collections, even with a decrease in the mill rate, a slight decrease in the mill rate. Changes to grant funding, the Amity refund, significant increase in investment income, expenditures. There were some increases, like I just mentioned, contractual obligations did increase some line items, including benefits. And there was a $1.8 million transfer to the capital fund to fund various projects during fiscal year '24. As we look at fund balance, we like to analyze the unassigned number there. You'll see on the bottom left of $20.6 million. This is approximately 24.7% of your fiscal year '24 budgeted expenditures. So you have a healthy unassigned fund balance there.
Now, we want to be as clear as we can be to us first, and then anybody who's watching about the fund balance, because that feels like a number that we talk about a lot. And for my money, I have never sit here without you guys and we say, oh, here's our fund balance, and we ain't even near 20, okay? So when we talk fund balance, I want to put a disclaimer that there's various ways of calculating it, first. And secondly, I'm sitting here for 21 years, I've never seen anything in the 20s, maybe in these reports.
Right.
And maybe I don't understand what that total fund balance means, and that's fine, I don't mind. I just want us, as best we can, is to and we can comment, John, about it now if you want, is what the different types there are, fund balance.
Well, basically, the unassigned that we're talking about is.
Oh, just the
really-
lower left
The
over there.
lower left.
Yeah,
um,
okay.
Especially for the
Right
general
there.
fund.
Yeah.
So, this will delve into something we wanna talk about, is unassigned, you are only gonna see in the general fund balance, unless, if you go 4 more columns over, for Orange Visiting Nurses Association, it's negative,
Not a minor negative at that.
and not a minor negative as.
2.3 million off, right?
Correct. And that has been continuously growing over the last several years. There is a charge in there for town finance department services that, help with the accounting of that. Even if you exclude that, it's still big.
Okay, we still have the 18 over there.
Right, so talking about your general fund unassigned fund balance, I think at this point, you can't disregard the deficit fund balance in the OVNA.
No, we've projected that with all our uses of the fund balance and transfers to capital since this year end,
Right,
or even prior to that.
So
we
as
know it's
of,
there.
this would be as of last June 30,
correct,
and since OVNA has continued on a path,
correct.
and it looks like somewhere in this document, I'm remembering somewhere either 360 or 400 odd negative, right, in the same
Yes.
thing, kind of on
Pretty
an annual
deficit,
basis,
right,
Yeah.
it's
right?
410, you're right.
That
Yeah.
might be going on right now.
Correct.
Which would reduce, if we were to still have 18,319, over on the right behind Kevin there.
Right.
Right, then we know for sure that that would be another reduction, that when we sit here and say, oh, we'd like to spend money on roads, or we have
Yeah.
to, another flood in a couple homes, and a culvert, we need to, 2.3 million, whatever. That we have to take care of as well.
That eventually will have to be taken care of,
Okay.
if it doesn't get taken care of through operations.
Okay, John, anything from the department head on this one?
If you remember, and I think it's still in there, we had a deficit at one time for the cafeterias. It was about 75,000, and we didn't worry about it because it was small. I think actually they have the money now that
Yes.
they could actually pay us back. I'm not sure whether they have or not. I mean, I don't see them being able to pay us back at some point in time. We're probably gonna have to write this off to the general fund.
The OVNA?
Oh, yeah. With a size of
So
a
when we
deficit
sit
like
here
that.
in early March, mid-March, and we're sitting around saying, okay, you're gonna come in with an Excel file, and we're gonna work it, what we can spend money on. Sorry to interrupt your flow, but it's kind of important, because it's the same topic for us.
I'm gonna take that 20,644.
Right.
I'm gonna bring it down by the 2,325.
Right.
I'm gonna do a projection for what they're losing this year.
Right.
And I'm gonna say that's the number you have for the general
For the
fund.
starting point.
Plus anything, if we've taken anything out since then for roads or
Right,
anything.
Right. The other
Or
thing
capital.
we gotta do is, I think we're taking 1.2 million out of the general fund to balance the current budget. So that has to come out of there also.
Okay.
But just to clarify, because Jim, you brought up earlier that there are a variety of ways to kind of look at the fund balance, so,
Right.
but when, according to the audit that was done on June 30th for fiscal year '24, the fund balance essentially with unassigned was 18.3. Because if we were to
Correct.
Right.
acknowledge, which is acknowledged
Which is the
here,
best
the
starting point we got.
2.3. Right, and 18.3 with the unassigned is still a pretty healthy fund balance.
Correct.
Oh, no, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
disregarding that.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You're still
all I'm
above the
looking for-
20. I know,
You're still
I just
above
wanna
the
make
That's what I
sure
was just
Yeah.
doing, the 22,
Yeah.
it came out
Comes out to
22.
22%.
0.6.
Yeah,
Yeah,
22%.
so we're 22% of
Yep.
our regular budget, and then, which puts us in a position, although we don't wanna be, to be able to kind of reset, counter off this current, current fiscal year, and then hopefully come up with a long-term plan for OVNA, which is,
Well, we've been hearing that for a couple of years now for
that's probably a
OVNA.
separate conversation.
I mean,
right?
listen, I think the OVNA is a great program. I think it provides a lot of great services for the town of Orange. But I think we're at a point where we need to have maybe the department head come in, maybe during the budget cycle on February 7th or another time, to just give us give us a plan of what the plan is to mitigate the deficit or the ongoing deficit, because we keep spending between 250 and a half a million a year in deficit spending in this program. And-
Okay,
and
we all
listen-
know that.
Yeah, it's a
All
great
right.
program.
All I'm trying to
But-
do is, and I think I agree with you 100%, and I think Kevin and John are working on just that. I just wanted to make sure that when we speak fund balance, somebody could have heard 27% or whatever. All I'm saying
Yeah, you
is,
have to factor this in.
you have to
Yeah.
factor
Yeah,
other things
absolutely.
in, and we are in favorable situations compared to others. I just wanted to make sure.
But it's more
we
like
get us
22% rather than 24.7.
At the end of the year,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
And that's based on last year, not the current year.
correct.
And
That's
if we were
end
going,
of fiscal
if we
year
were going
24.
to bond, the people that would be looking at our financials would take that into effect too.
Oh, yeah, of course they would.
What we're
Yeah.
talking about?
They factor in the
They would factor
22%,
in the-
yeah.
Right, they wouldn't look at 24.7, they'd look at
Right.
22, just because we haven't paid our
Not just the
bill.
general fund, right.
All right.
Right.
I'm sorry, sir, please
It's okay.
continue.
So along that route, we had a few other major funds here. The bonded capital projects.
So just tell me what you want, on page you want. to do.
Same
Oh, the
page.
same page right there, yep.
Good.
So bonded capital projects is there next to the capital fund. There is still 1.5 million of cash there, less some payables. So, working with finance, there's some work potentially there for either closing, reallocating the funds there, use it for debt service payments or some other uses in the future. The ARPA fund, about in the middle of the page there, has about $2.2 million sitting unspent as of June 30, 24. Obviously, there were projects that were already considered and are spending about to occur, so I know that number is probably different today, but that has to be spent by 6/30/26. Only in fiscal year 24, there was only 178,000 of expenditures in that fund, so I know spending is beginning to ramp up now on that. And as we just spoke about the OVNA, just one last highlight on it, the current deficit, or the current year deficit, fiscal year 24, was $410,000. Fiscal year 23 was 1.9 million. So there was a swing there in terms of operations. Again, that's an ongoing discussion, and depending what the future operations are of that organization. On page 22 of your PDF, should be the budget to actual statements.
Didn't take hold. Wow. Do it the old-fashioned way. My kind of page.
Yes. So this gives you the general fund budget to actual overview in summary for all these large line items here in functions, revenue, approximately 2.7 million over budget, strong tax collections, interest earnings, intergovernmental revenues, grants that came in, certain ones are not budgeted, and the municipal revenue sharing, some excess in the special education excess cost grant, individual public health grants that came in were not budgeted on that line, so that attributed to the overage there. Investment income, as I just mentioned, rates continued to be elevated, and funds were available to keep in these vehicles, investment vehicles, so they contributed to a over budget line there. And then the miscellaneous line at the bottom of the revenue section was over budget as well, excuse me, due to the Amity surplus credit to the member towns.
So that's where the 847 got supplement. How much was the Amity credit, John?
It's around 700.
705 or
Yeah.
something like that?
700 something, okay.
Yeah.
There's usually items in there that just get classified to the miscellaneous that don't fall into other buckets, so that line is usually above or under,
Right.
depending on what
I remember the
happens.
investment income because we didn't expect to get 5% returns or even higher.
Right.
So obviously, that's a good deal. Intergovernmental, John, we got 586 above what we budgeted. Do you remember what that mostly was?
Remember, I think we got that revenue sharing.
Municipal
that
revenue
we
sharing
weren't-
was like
we
400 of
didn't
it or
expect to
something.
get.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
budgeted,
that's the one
yeah.
when we came under the 2-point-something% per annual, that
Yeah.
that discussion. Okay, thank you.
Unbudgeted, yeah.
Thank
I
you.
think that goes
Sorry.
away this year, I think.
Yeah, I believe it does.
Yeah.
Where does the cannabis revenue go since it's restricted?
It's in a different account.
I think it's in
Okay.
the miscellaneous actually too.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
is
that's
it?
where it is right now.
Because it's really not intergovernmental.
Yeah, right.
We haven't spent any of that yet.
Right.
All right, thank you, Andrew.
Yep. Going to the next section, the expenditures. Again, that was a favorable variance as well, 961 under budget. Cost saving, cost monitoring, doing more with less is a lot of departments were showing savings.
The whole country's doing it.
170 in public safety, 178 under budget. Definitely changes in personnel, positions open during the year and not filled for part of the year. And that rolls into benefits, payroll cost, insurance, pension. So there are things there that all roll into one. And then other expenditures were under budget due to changes to insurance premiums.
Hey, John, in that other category, do you remember, you know, what's so funny here is that the original budget and the actual amount were the same, but we raised it up at some point to the final budget of 786, as you can see there. Do you happen to remember why we raised it up and then how come?
Something must have got reclassified, because even though we raised it up, our total expenditures, our original and final budget.
Yeah,
are
they
the
look
same.
almost identical.
So
right?
something must have been just
Yeah, okay. I was
reclassified.
just curious.
So going from that schedule to the next set of documents, or next set of financial statements are
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
But
sure.
let's do the punchline here,
Okay.
right? The punchline is, we had a very good year
Sure did.
for the
It
home
was
team,
positive, definitely.
you know?
Another one.
One of the reasons we're at 22%.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, no wonder. Okay.
Jim, there's the vacancy factor that I was talking about
Right.
during the budgeting process. When you see police department under by 178, the benefits under by a couple 100,000. The vacancy factor is that, you know, and I pitched this to the chairman of the Amity Board too, because they have such a large salary budget for teachers. And we have large salary budgets here in, you know, the police department. That
Yeah, but that is a percentage.
no,
isn't
you
very
just
much,
factor in
right?
like 4 vacancies in the police department, and then you don't budget it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a little bit of a riverboat
Risk.
gambler,
Oh, yeah. It's a
roll
little
the
risky.
dice, but it's worked for me very well in budgeting for Meredith.
I'll tell you, it won't work this year because they're at a full staff there right now.
Who PD is?
Yeah. And they've been,
First
I
time
think,
in like
since-
20 years.
Yeah, and the problem with education is you have to try to
Oh, yeah,
provide
yeah. But listen, when you have,
teachers. I
yeah.
guess that there's other positions you could,
but just the,
Hope for
the
it.
inherent vacancy factor throughout the year of a
No, I
$50 million
read-
budget.
But I
you know?
see a 960 here, and you got a budget of 80, so you're basically 1 out of 80, so you're a little over 1%. I mean, that's nice. You're budgeting well, you're keeping it under.
I mean, I
But
don't
it
know
is
how
another
Amity
$1 million.
budgets or salaries, but I know.
No, they budgeted
So-
full.
Right,
They do,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Contractual
And
obligations.
Yeah.
also, do they budget at like the top tier salary
no,
steps?
they
Or
usually,
kind of-
they will, they usually do like a master's step 6 or a master's step
Okay.
8 for
Yeah.
open vacant, you know, for
Yep,
vacant
yep.
positions. Or if somebody retires, you know,
Yep.
but they don't know when they're doing their budget, how many retirements or
Correct, correct.
Or
leaves
who
they're
they'll
gonna have.
hire.
Yeah, and that, well, they say, try to go low,
Right.
especially if you're getting
Yeah, right.
someone's leaving who's high.
Yep.
That is, I'm sure, across all
Yeah.
municipalities and industry.
Basically, our surpluses and our budget from year to year are funding our capital. So if we don't have those
Right.
surpluses,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to put in to get the capital.
actually
Yeah.
fund
Which will
the
lead to
capital.
more taxes.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't bonded in,
No, and
Several
we're
years.
not planning
Yeah.
on it at 3.5, 4% either.
There'll come a day when
That used to be
3.5%,
good.
4% could be pretty good.
But
used to
remember,
Used to
our
be what
last
you wanted.
bond was 2%.
2%.
True enough. All right, let's let Andrew continue.
Yes, the next set of documents, I think we're gonna go to page 23, 24. Your PDF.
see if I can snap this forward one. This one?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the proprietary fund statements. This shows the activity for the WPCA, as well as the congregate elderly housing at Silverbrook, and the health insurance activity. The WPCA in Silverbrook, even though in the statements here show a overall deficit in both of the years, pretty much, if you take out depreciation on the capital assets at both the WPCA and Silverbrook, they're both operating at slight surpluses. So because of an accounting treatment to the, depreciating the value of their
Right.
capital assets, they show a deficit, but their, revenue minus expenditures are operating wise, or operating at a surplus currently. Not large surpluses, but at a surplus. And then the last set of financial statements, if there are no questions there, start on page 26 in your PDF. This is just a summary of the pension trust funds.
This one here?
Yes, the next couple pages are related to that. Very little information on these two pages, but then, as we always speak about in the footnotes to the financial statements, there's about 10 pages each of detailed data related to both pensions and other post-employment benefits.
Well, both the pensions as a percentage went up. They had like a 10% increase each on the market, right?
Yeah.
And now they're in the, we'll get to it when you get to it.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah, always has a point in time,
Yeah.
obviously.
So those are the front financial statements. After this begins the financial statement footnotes, which are many pages. Just a general top note, there were no new or changed accounting policies in fiscal year '24. Next year, fiscal year '25, we'll be implementing, the town will be implementing the new GASB statement on compensated absences. So that accrual and analysis on that liability will be a little bit different. Some will be the same. There'll be some additional disclosures probably as well in the financial statement footnotes, so that'll be something to look forward to next year.
We gotta slow Gatsby down. They're coming out with
They're
new
gonna-
releases every year. Last year was leases, now it's compensated
We'll get
absences.
Doge on them.
Yeah.
This was the nice year. It was
This
really
was nothing, yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
pleasant,
Yeah.
if you can say, if there is such a thing.
All right, what page do you go to?
So a couple footnotes that I do
Okay.
like to stop at every year, so page 45, I believe for you, 42 in the printed version.
Fair value measures at the top, is that it?
Yeah, so if you scroll down a little bit, there'll be
Yep.
starting footnote 4 on leases receivable. And then on the following page, on page 43, will give you the
Never-ending things.
detail to the
Oh.
various
Oh, that's the
lease
one I had a
receivable.
question on, I think. Oh, no, I'm on the wrong page,
So that'll be
sorry.
46, I believe, of the PDF.
Yeah. Okay,
So this shows all of the incoming principal and interest for the various leases, including Racebrook,
the big one.
cell towers, some military housing, I believe. So this gives you a,
so this means to me
yes, go ahead, yep.
that I would be receiving in 2020, I'll pick 28. I'd be receiving 371,000 in principal and 290,000 in interest,
Correct,
me being the town.
correct.
Okay. And all these big numbers you have to divide by 5.
And they're all 5-year,
Yeah,
yes,
right.
yes. Racebrook is the longest running one, so that takes up a majority of a lot of those
Yeah.
later years.
And obviously, as we renew lease cell towers, those keep coming off and coming back
New
on,
coming
and
on, right.
coming off and
Yep.
coming back on.
No, that's been a great investment having those cell towers.
That was 20 years ago, they were gonna be obsolete, right?
Right, they were gonna be obsolete 20 years ago, and we've got 300,000 of them, and I think we were gonna sell it for 3.2 million or something like that.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't even that much.
Yeah. I remember Tony was hot on that one. All right, Andrew?
Sure. Next page will be 60 in the PDF, 57 in the printed version.
And this one?
Yes, so this, again, is another, as we recall, years ago now, it's been over 10, or about 10, the new pension standards, where we now show a pension liability on the financial statements. This gives you some breakdown of how that is calculated from what the pension liability is, less the plan assets, gives you a net pension liability. So overall, it was a favorable year. The net pension liability decreased 2.5 million. The town decreased about 450. The police decreased 2 million. This is primarily driven by the market gains in both plans. The town makes its required contributions every year and then does its due diligence into making sure the plan assets are invested properly. There are more detailed 10-year schedules following the footnotes in the financial statements as well. So it'll show you a running yearly, the activity from year to year over the past 10 years and how the plans have done. And that starts on page 75 in the printed, so it'll be 78
These are great.
in the PDF. So a lot of detail. It's going to show 10 years ongoing now of what the plans are doing and how they are funded, or how well they're funded, I guess.
Yeah, and here's where the action is, right down here. You can see the years, but now you can see, and this one happens to be which one, the police,
The
right?
police plan, yeah.
So you can see it's gone up was 60, so he probably had a down year in the market in between.
There'll be
Yeah,
ebbs and
22
So that
flows,
seems to drive it every
Yeah.
time, right?
22 was the down year.
Yeah, so you
Yep.
can see it went from 60 down to 50, and then it's up to 54, and now it's back up to 60. And a similar one for the next page,
Yeah.
right? That's a great chart.
Correct.
For you guys.
And there is smoothing involved in the actuarial assumptions and their calculations, so they try to limit how the spikes up and down, so. But it's definitely been tracking pretty consistent. As you go back to 2015, you were at 67%, and then 2024 about 60.5. So
Yeah, if you
It's
do
in-
one page more, you'll see the same thing in terms of the
Right.
town, right?
correct. One or
which is
two
kinda
pages.
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit off, 76 and 69, but it's the same differential.
It's in about a
right?
10% range or so, right?
Right, okay.
But again, the major highlights of this is that the town maintains its contributions into the plan. It does, review the investments and continues to be fiscally responsible. And so these things are all accounted for by the investors and actuaries. And you'll see these ups and downs, but over time, you should have adequate funding.
We gotta remember too, both of these
Right.
plans are closed to new employees for a
Yeah.
long time, so
Yeah.
it,
There's only 3 people left in each of them right now. 3 police officers and 3 town employees.
Active employees, now but we have to take care of those who's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And that's,
Right.
okay,
Right, there's still people on the pension, they're just not working anymore.
right, okay. All right, Andrew?
Yep, and last, or is it last? It might be, yes. Go back to page 66 in the PDF, 63 in the printed version. Again, it's the same thing with the other post-employment benefits, OPEB. The overall OPEB liability did decrease as well by about 937,000. The major change here was the discount rate that was used by the actuary went from 3.65% to 3.93%. So that increased the assumptions and investment values, and that decreased the overall OPEB liability. Again, that plan too is, I believe, closed off as well to any new, or is that one
No.
still open?
well, a lot of that's related to the, teachers and the implicit rate subsidy, obviously. But because you're not funded, you're required to use the 20-year municipal bond rate, for that, actuarial calculation. Again, not all of this is actually money that's going out. It's really kind of this
Right.
GASB created
Yeah, nightmare.
terminology.
We fund it as we go.
basically,
Correct.
yes. But basically what it's saying is,
We do the same
you
thing.
have, you have retirees on the plan that have, would normally have a higher premium rate. You're paying, more for your current employees, and that's the implicit rate subsidy. So you're paying more now for your younger employees than you normally would if those people were not on your plan. So, something we have to put in there.
Andrew?
Yes, and last comments that I have is, there were no significant subsequent events, so you won't see any footnotes related to that. There are some additional schedules in the back that show detail of the, all the smaller fund activities, various things I think what John brought up earlier, like the cafeteria, police programs, the grants, education grants funds. So those all get detailed out in the back of the report and then get summarized in one line, one column in the front of the report.
So how many of these do we have, John?
I think there's 27.
There's a lot. And and as Andrew was saying, all the smaller funds, they still total, what do we have? 5.4 million in assets and about 5 million in revenue coming in. So even though they're smaller, they're still pretty significant, in dollars running through each of those on a combined basis.
On page 89, 92 in the PDF that I just brought up.
Yep.
Might be hard at home to see it, so I can give it one little boost, but I don't want to lose the, whoa, that's more than one. In the lower right, I see the fund balances of the beginning of 3.6 million. So that says to me at the beginning of this year, all these special revenue funds eventually added up to 3.6 million. Am I understanding that right?
The fund balance is correct.
7/1/23, correct,
Okay. And there are 20-something of them? Okay.
approximately.
And now the fund balances are 4.6 million. So if it's gone up $1 million, that's way better than the stock market. And these aren't stock markets, nor are they. Can you give us, or do you know? I mean, all we'd have to do is
Yep.
go back through the pages and say which
Exactly.
ones went up the most. I'm just curious.
Police, special duty, recreation.
Twenty
are the big
School of
ones.
the 21st Century, at the Board of Ed, those were the two of the, and Town Aid Road, but that money really just wasn't spent in the.
Right, yeah, that's gonna
Current
go.
year.
Timing,
Sure.
right.
Is the town
Same
of
with
Orange
LoCIP.
unique in having this many special?
Not
Revenue.
not
really?
necessarily.
No.
Actually, I wish we had a few more. We have some combined that
You
drive
got
you
your
Yeah.
mic
crazy.
on, Johnny, you got
Like-
your mic on?
So, talking about combined, actually, it's on this page. So you'll see that town exchange.
Yes, the first one on the
So
left.
there's a bunch of little, smaller programs in that fund, like kind of one-off, maybe grant. The cannabis is actually in there, the cannabis revenue that you were talking,
Yep.
Kevin, you were talking about earlier.
Probably a nip.
Yeah,
Nip
I mean,
bottles.
Nip bottles.
again, so it's kind of, there's subcategories under that town exchange fund of what it's for.
So it's kind
and
of like
that-
an ETF type of,
Yeah. Same with special
Good
events and
stuff.
programs, there's different events that are included in there. Even like this police programs, there's the police special
Special
duty,
duty,
but then there's the DARE program. They have some grants and donation fund, so they're kind of all grouped together in the financial statements, but they are separate funds
no, it's a
in the
good
town
news thing.
system.
I mean, it's a good news thing. I just wanted to learn more,
Yep,
noticing a big jump,
yep,
and then whether or not other I don't know what about other towns. Thank you.
yeah, they all have a lot of them.
I have one other question, but it isn't on this page.
Okay, no, I think that concludes my prepared remarks. So yes, any other questions you have, we can go to those now.
Page 73, I think I understand the math, but let me bare my soul and you can be my teacher. So I was looking at this chart, and I was saying to myself, I wish it was in Excel. But then, as I was sitting here, when John was speaking and I was looking at it, is it true that where you get how the math goes on this is if you take column on the left, claims payable, that 377,
Yeah.
and you add that to the 6214 in the column next to it to the right, let's call that column B. And then you subtract column C, what you've paid, you end up with column D, what you owe.
You
Is
do.
that kind of, if I was in Excel,
Exactly.
I'd see
Yep.
that?
That's exactly
Thank
what it is.
Good.
And that's all for the health insurance fund.
Right.
That's on the proprietary fund statements.
Yeah, okay.
So the claims payable, for the most part, is the calculation of the IBNR.
Is there any danger that we have such a high claims payable of 712 compared to 420 in the last year?
I think it's just a factor of the increase in the claims overall.
That's just at June 30th. It was the claims that came in that the
Right.
town had to pay to Anthem
June
or
30th,
whoever
24.
at June 30th, 24. Our actual medical claims
Yes.
are over $10 million for the town. You're not
Yeah,
not
that's
looking at.
IBNR, so that's incurred but not recorded.
Right, at
Right.
year end.
Oh, so that
Yeah.
8.5 million I see in that second column is not the right number?
That's knocked down because of our stop loss. We have, we
All
have.
claims and then they have a
We have,
reduction?
we have an insurance on a stop loss on $175,000. We have 8 people that hit that year.
Yes.
We have a claim, one person over $1 million.
Wow.
So you can't really play with that claims account.
No.
Because one year you're up, one year you're down, you could go down, I think we went down $2 million this year in that account.
Good.
It's not good. It means we
Oh,
spent
they
$2
had to
million.
pay out?
Yeah, yeah.
So we have a kitty over here. that we have
Right.
to-
Right,
Well, the
yeah.
self-insured
That's the
fund,
one
we have the
we
percentage.
found out with Ciparelli, not Ciparelli,
Sharon Zelli.
Charonzelli, yeah.
Yep. All right.
Any other questions?
Okay, so then if there's no other questions,
We need a
we need a
motion
motion to accept the audit as presented.
Sure, I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstained, unanimous. Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see ya.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks, Andy.
This has been 26 years.
One of these years, I want it to be, we'll see you this year.
Yeah, right.
You're so close. We were hoping this year, no Gatsby's.
Yeah. That's crazy. See you guys.
Good to see you all.
See ya.
Thank you. Okay, item number 5, Amity update. Mr. Nuzzo.
Well, good evening, everyone.
You wanna flip it?
Yeah, you want to flip?
What do you say? No, it's this one. Come on. Should be good. Give me a minute. Yep, you're good. Put the X in there. and then Y goes in. Yeah.
Good. So as we know, the Emory budget has been presented. So initially, as of last week, Dr. Byer sent us a budget update for 25-26. The initial increase was 3.66, as we know. They made some extra efforts to reduce the budget by 360,000 there. So a few highlights. There is a current net increase in average daily membership of 37 students. So the total enrollment increased by 35 compared to 27 anticipated. Of course, that is used to determine the allocations for the 25-26 budget.
Those are the numbers we presented back in November, I think.
Yes,
So you and me
yes,
both.
yes.
Yeah.
So now we're at 37.
Let me just cut in
Oh,
here.
I'm sorry.
So,
Yes.
in your budget book that I gave you tonight, the Amity budget is in it.
Oh, okay,
So,
thank you.
I think it's
So
10,
all you know.
whatever.
It's at that
Yeah, they
updated-
delivered it, I don't know, they delivered it to me last Wednesday, so I put it in.
So this here summarizes it. So this
Yeah.
little, this memo here.
But we just don't know if the reduction of 360,000 is the one that
Yeah,
is in our
I
budget
don't
book or
know.
not.
I would assume so, but I'm not sure.
Well,
This is at 3.66. Was that his first
That was the
number?
initial.
So this one is old.
This one, now is 3.16 down below.
3.16?
3.16.
Okay, so we have the old one, Anna.
Yep.
And we'll just
That's
work
good to
with
know.
that, and
Yeah.
if there's some number change, oh,
Yeah,
God
so
bless
three one
America.
six is the new, increase, so. Again, main drivers as we, so first off, let's talk about Woodbridge for a minute. So Woodbridge will have an increase in their allocation, their enrollment, the rising enrollment, and then the increase, their allocation will rise over 7%, almost 8%, which is pretty significant for them. And the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance expressed their concerns over the proposed increase. So Woodbridge, the town of Woodbridge, yeah, they're very concerned
about their own.
yeah, about their own allocation, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, it's all based on student.
Yeah,
that's-
of course,
that's-
yeah.
There
that's
you
the
go.
beauty of regionalization.
Yeah, exactly.
The years that it's down, you're pleased.
And we're gonna be
years
down a
that it's
little bit,
not,
as we'll
you're
see in a
just-
moment, but, and we know the drivers, salaries, technology, staffing, benefits, and inflation-related increases for the purchases. So contractual salary increases are projected to be on average 3.86%, call it 4%. We are in the second year of the teacher contract. And so their 4.5% increase is the primary driver of the salary increase. New staffing request of 1.6 full-time equivalent funded through the open choice grant. They're looking to support students in math at the alternative school, English language learners, additional work hours for special ed coordinators. So there's some stuff going on with special ed as well this year, which are going to increase some costs there with some students entering the district. So we do have that 1.6 FTE funded through the open choice grant, which is now included in the budget, and then technology-related requests are included new lab for tech, for tech education, replacing 245 teacher devices, and setting aside about $100,000 for potential infrastructure issues. Benefit costs are expected to rise about 4%. Debt service has decreased by $1.3 million due to the ongoing reduction of existing debt and the use of the educational expenditure fund for large projects. So that's been beneficial to take the 2% every year and use that versus having to borrow. So that's certainly been a plus over the years. And the cuts will reduce the requested increase to with 3.16%. And then here are some of the reductions up here. You see the laptops, I guess they're going to be leased now versus purchased, which I'm not sure why they were in the budget to begin with, but they were. So now we figured out a way to lease them, 4-year lease, about $55,000 cost versus the 146. Transportation, Voc Tech bus, down, tuition down, students exiting the district, which, got good news. Look at their, Vermont, room 27, I guess that's down $8,000, actual cost update, I guess the cost for less for that. Defined contribution, and then small, the balance there, getting us down to 3.16%. The town allocations here, Bethany about even, 0.32%, we're down 1.61%, and Woodbridge says 5.4% increase on their budget due to the enrollment shift as we see, and then the higher operating expenses in the budget. So overall, we're doing okay this year with the enrollment shift.
Wait, so Joe, where on there does it show us our number?
Right there.
Orange here,
Right,
so right, 703 enrollment shift down.
so
Revenues-
if the budget
Yeah.
goes through at 3.16 and it's not changing
What's
again,
our total?
what's our total? Did our total go up or down?
We're going down 1.61,
Percent.
right?
Yeah.
Percent, 1.61% down, decrease, Sean, is that correct?
I don't know, that's not what she gave me.
Well,
I'm the
John,
thing I got was
you're looking
200
at-
up
Today, that you got today?
No,
last
week.
Wednesday.
Okay, Joe,
Oh, wait,
if
time
I
out. Go
I
ahead.
can do some, get a grenade close anyway. The increase in the budget in our books.
Oh, it's
was-
this prior year credit number that screws things up.
Yeah, exactly, Kevin. In this what we have in our books, okay, which was the 3.66% increase.
Yes.
All right, so let's just fix on that. It clearly says that Orange's number will go up $208,000, $750. All right? So someone just write that down, 208,750 for 3.66.
2.66.
So if it went to 3.106, Joe, which was.
3.16.
3.16,
3.16,
3.16
okay.
is the new number.
So it's gone down 50.5%, and Kevin, let's just say there are 7.5%, okay? So it should be going down 14%, right? Of the increase. Right? So we clearly will go down from the 208.
Right.
I don't know whether that gets us in,
To get us to negative doesn't make sense.
I think what you could do, Kev, is, and I don't know I don't even understand the 3.51 if it went down to 3.16, so I'm a little bit in a loss. But maybe they're getting more money, in the town revenues.
Yeah, the higher revenues of 184.
Yeah. So anyway, it's an open question. But clearly Woodbridge is, in this one, it shows that Woodbridge has increase of 7.85, right? And that was at the 3.66. So what we can do is we can actually ask for the Excel file of which this is coming from. So we can kind of see it. And that way we don't have to fight through all that high revenue and prior year credits, that's another thing. Prior
John,
year
where
credits.
wet brain, where did we put the credit last year? We didn't lower what they approved,
The credit comes off of our March payment to
correct?
Amity.
But how did we budget for
And
that?
then ARP moved it to revenue, so it'd be like we've had it in the past. It shows up in our.
700.
Right, and that's what the
revenue.
auditors did too.
That's what that
Right.
700.
Right.
705.
Right.
So the reality is,
If you look, when I give you the revenue sheets, you'll see it going across for all the years, what we've gotten back
so for
as a
For
history.
Amity right now, we're somewhere, what we paid them last year to what we're gonna pay them this year, it's probably $180,000 increase or something
At
like
the
that.
most. If they're going down by 0.5%
Yeah,
from this budget.
from the 200,
So they're going down 208,000,
let's
you
just
figure
do
we're
some Excel.
essentially half of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
right, yeah, yeah.
all right, so we'll say we're, okay,
So,
I think
yeah,
what they're
So
doing
we're probably
is-
at let's just conservatively say it's gonna be $120,000 increase.
Yeah, I
and
think,
then when we get the credit into the revenue,
It'll actually
be a negative.
negative.
But
yeah.
it's not, we're not getting cut by the 400 that, however they wanna show things.
yeah.
And they have to do it this way because of the allocations,
Right.
because our allocation's going down while Woodbridge is going up because they have higher enrollment.
Right.
Well, they don't have higher enrollment than we do, but their percentage
Right,
enrollment
right.
goes up
Oh, yeah.
and ours goes
And
down.
with some of the stuff here that could swing back to us next year, but there's some new developments going into Woodbridge that if they're finished,
Could
we might be in
balance
good
it out,
shape.
maybe. Yeah.
So,
Well, that's what happened last year, is our enrollment went up because of a lot of those, I think.
I think Woodbridge is gonna have a big development on Fountain Street.
They're supposed to.
Got
Yeah,
approved.
They've been fighting it
Yeah.
for years, oh, yeah.
Got approved.
Got approved.
It got approved now, so,
Got approved.
okay. All right, sorry, Joe.
No,
Back
that's
to you.
good. I mean, that was the budget, it's been our conversation, for the last several weeks, main focus, of our meetings.
And I'll speak to Terry
Good.
before our Friday meeting, see if I can get a.
Because they're part of the Friday meeting now, right?
Yeah.
They're coming
Yes.
Friday, yes.
Because normally they come to this meeting.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, those are the main items, I mean, at this point, the November forecast has a surplus, small surplus of 206 at this point, so
Joe, what'd you say that was, 3.16%?
3.16, yeah. And, yeah, the medical is like close to 100%. Let's see what the numbers again.
They didn't
Yeah,
mention anything with medical, with their self-funded?
Okay, one more.
They didn't mention any issues with their
No, no.
self-funded?
Yeah, so far, so good.
Have you heard about possible medical increases?
Hey, Joe,
Yes.
11 to 13%.
can you, whoa, how can
25%.
that be? Okay. All right, that makes sense. What is the orange share for next year? Do you happen to have that?
The orange share for next year.
Yeah.
For the,
They're self-insured through like Cigna or. It's Anthem.
isn't that the 48.444? The ADM?
I have it in prior, I can,
Isn't it this?
So the 24-25
Well-
budget?
my problem with this is these these.
The dates are wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So let's assume it's 48,444. All right, so Joe, why don't you finish up and I'll just calculate it, because it's sitting right here.
Yeah, I think not much else has really happened, other than the budget, so that's basically it.
Right?
Yeah, nothing major with the expenses or anything. Special Ed's having some issues with some costs. They're trying to figure that out,
This is gonna be
but it's ongoing.
All right, so orange share. What is that, 48.444, Kevin?
Yes.
And the medical's at 98% for 24-25 forecast. Yeah, that was basically the highlights.
All right.
And Dr. Byers is coming here next Friday to present to us, as we're aware.
Yeah.
I think this is right.
It's good, Kevin, good.
Thank you,
So
sir.
could I just add one little
Sure,
thing to it?
Of course.
I went on Friday to the Elected Officials Day at Amity.
I'm going this Friday.
All right.
Yes.
That's awesome. So, I had to go last Friday, even though it was Bethany, to start. But, it was really nice. It was really informative to kind of see, you know, the way that they do it in terms of taking it from the middle school to the high school and then back to middle school. And just particularly, at AMSB, all of the stuff that they're doing for Portrait of a Learner and all of that kind of stuff. But it was a nicely organized day, so I hope you enjoy yourself.
Yes, I will.
And
I've been
are
going
when-
for a while.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah,
good.
it's good. Next Friday, the 7th, or whenever we're meeting.
Yep.
Are we televising that or recording that through OGAD, or,
No, we
Is there-
never have.
I know we haven't, I just didn't know if
Yeah.
we were.
We talked
just
about it
because-
last year, I think, and I was like,
They-
nobody's gonna watch it. for
They
7 hours.
asked last year, and then Saul Silverstein called and talked to Corinne Friday, I think, and he decided not to televise it. It's pretty boring, and 8 hours is a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah.
if OGAD had an interest in doing it, or if there was a, way to do increments and you could tab through to the different things,
Yeah.
just as we go through. Okay, I just wanted to bring it up and see where we were.
All right, so now,
What
item
we-
number
What
6.
we usually do, though, is we usually televise when the Orange Board of Ed comes in.
Oh, absolutely.
That night.
Yeah. I wonder if we should put the two boards together or something.
Item 6, Vice Chairman's report. Jim?
How about, I'm pretty much doing it right now. Basically, trying to figure out that document. All right, so. Town, funding. What I'm doing, Kevin, is basically the analysis of, pretty much done. And then I'll use you guys as sounding boards of whether I did it right. Okay, so this thing should be, let's see, Orange's share should be this thing here times this. Joe, we have to switch you and me.
Oh, yes, correct.
Okay.
Oh, good, yeah.
That would be great, thank you. Yeah, I didn't have much other than this, I didn't expect to do this, Kevin, but since the data was already in my brain, I figured I'd just do it. and once it gets up here, I'll massage it a bit, but you guys can kind of put your brains to it as well. Okay, so the way I do work is typically we'll do something like that. Okay, so maybe I can just get the font larger and maybe it'll help things out. Okay, so here's what I got, team. This is last year's budget, so let's just call this fiscal year, it's all Amity, 24, so this is the current year we're in. And I've got this out of the book, so your book, which is in tab 7, if you go down to page 15, you're looking at what I was grabbing everything from. So you'll see 56,456, 652 was the total revenues and the total budget from last year. A 3.16% increase, and remember, I'm using the number, somebody could, it could be 3.16.2, you know, that kind of thing, or 3.157 or something, but if it was 3.16, it would be that number there, 1,784,030. Before you start doing what the town shares are, you have to take off little bits of money, and again, I took it right off the sheet here, so it's on page 15. There are 3 other revenue, other state grants, and miscellaneous income. You can see them there. Again, this is kind of a, you know, let me just get some of this garbage out of here. So you can delete that. Okay, so if that's the case, then this number here is just taking this baby here, right? And subtracting this to get to this, and so you can see that's what I did. And it makes sense, right, 56. 874,047, and so if, Kev, if we have 48.444, and I have November's PowerPoint very handy, I can get that out when you guys are talking to make sure it's that number. Let's assume it is. That means, you know, this is just the multiplication of this number times that. So here's the proposed budget, right, in yellow, 58 million, assuming that's, you know, in the ballpark. And so here's these 3 other things that Amity's getting money on as in their book. And so that means the town funding has to be this, the orange share, if we're right on that. And so that's 27,551. Now, Orange's allocation, John, last year was 27,479. So if we forget about the last 3 digits, 27,479. So it's under 100,000 increase right now. If you know, with all the assumptions, assuming I haven't goofed it up.
Yep, no,
Okay.
Diana said it
And
would be like a
you
closer
seem
to
like
the, my number was way
feel
too high.
ballparkish, team?
That's where it
Yep.
is.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Around 100,000.
Yeah.
yeah, let's just say 100,000.
I'd like to comment, however, all right? If you go to page, on your book, page 104, I believe it is. And this is a point I made last year, and I'll probably be commenting about it again. What we're talking about here is an increase of 1,784,000, right? That's an increase. But one of the things that's not here is that the debt that was inside last year's 56,456,652. As you can see, did I say page
Yeah,
104?
what page are you on?
I may have the wrong one, just give me a second.
Okay.
I wrote it down. Yeah, page 104. Okay. If you look at page 104, in the middle of the page, and I apologize to people at home that don't see this, but you'll.
That's the 1305 number that Joe highlighted a little
Right.
while ago.
Right. You see, and this is where it's a little bit, well, let me just get the data up here. That inside of that number here is, it's just like everybody's house, right? Everybody's gotta have to pay a mortgage, and it's principal and interest. That's basically, and we have that in the Amity budgets every year. And last year, what had to be paid was 3,858,211. This year, in the budget, in the proposed budget, and it probably isn't gonna change, is 2,552,000, you can see it there, right? 296. All right? So what this is telling, and the difference of those two, right, is this less that, and that's the one, why you see the 1,305,915 right there, all right? It's gone down. All right, and maybe I should do it the other way around so you can see it as a reduction. So to me, all things being equal, this increase of 1.784 here includes this reduction of principal and interest. They didn't do anything different. For a long time, we've been paying 4.4 million for, God, as long as I've probably been here. When we did, because we did the high school, right, John, Kevin, in the early 2000s?
The renovation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so to me, non-debt, what you have is an increase in this proposed budget, all right? What I'll call the non-debt increase, all right, is both the increase and this 1.3 million. So it's really gone up $3 million. That's just apples to apples, team.
Right.
It's as if at home, you know, like, I pay $1,600 for my mortgage, okay? It's as if I no longer next year had to pay 1/3 of my mortgage, because that's about 1/3, right? 1.3 and 3.9 would be 1/3, right, Joe? So it would be as if I only had to pay 1,000 or 1,050 or something like that. So I actually have that extra money. So that's something I would think we would,
Oh, they'll be here
Jim-
next week, so
Yeah.
that's,
And Jim, can we
What
divide
is-
this number by the last year budget, so that will give us the actual increase?
well,
3 million divided by that, 56.
right, you could say, what I would say is this, if you actually do the analysis, and then we'll stop, right? So we don't want to take up too much time. I'd take this number here, I'm gonna subtract that. In other words, what's the thing that doesn't include debt, right? That doesn't include debt. And then you say, okay, in the proposed for this year, take this, right? And don't include the debt. And you can see that these numbers should be exactly the same, right? Because all I did was the math a different way. Okay, and then you can say, what percentage is that as an increase? And you're gonna get a way different than 3%.
But it wasn't presented to us that way, that, hey, we're saving debt service.
Well,
we're doing three,
all I'm
and by
telling
the
you,
way-
that the
Right.
people at Woodbridge will be
Oh,
looking
sure,
at it this way.
sure,
And don't forget, it's great that we have a year that we have 100,000 increase. But, like any other budget, our numbers in sixth grade and fifth grade seem to be increasing. So,
Well, the good news is
the inner wants in,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to point out that if you go back to Joe's letter, I believe that this year, the teacher salaries by contract are going up by 4.5.
Yeah.
That's a big
So,
jump.
the fact that the increase of salary is only going up 3.86, that means everybody else aside from the teachers is taking a much less than a 4.5. And COLA is actually much higher than 3.5 or 3.86. So while I appreciate the fact that this increase, let's just say that we're not talking about the debt reduction, we do have the debt reduction. And so, but if we're even doing 5.87, we're talking about 4.5% is the teacher increase, which is the primary driver of this entire budget. Of course. 85% to 87% of any school district's budget is gonna be personnel. And most of that is contractual. It is not negotiable. I believe that the superintendent and everybody else in the unaffiliated took 2% or less last year as an increase. So I appreciate the exercise, and I appreciate pointing out that it's 5.87 as a general increase, but the cost of what we are seeing and what we are feeling is not 5.87, it's 3.16. And part of that is because they budget and negotiate with the knowledge of debt and the fact that their debt is reducing.
Yeah.
And that's because they are trying to be as fiscally responsible as possible.
Think we have.
Yeah, and we should,
Think
we
we
should,
have it.
we should actually continue to see this trend in debt go down because
Right.
you have the
We
reserve
do.
now.
Yeah, we had the
which is-
schedule last
which
year.
is
I
good.
did slides on
Because
this.
Yeah,
that's
we
gonna,
have
that's
that.
gonna contribute to pay-as-you-go for
In fact,
infrastructure.
to Joe, I
Yeah.
think you had that they were adding all the, what did it say, teacher laptops, a whole bunch of
Yes.
other stuff
Yeah.
too. So that's where.
But then they've taken a
they'll
lot
be
of that
here.
out, and they've figured out how they're gonna.
They were gonna lease
they're
it,
gonna do leasing
but then there was
instead of-
another improvement to something, but
AMSB
they'll be
is
here
putting
next,
up a wall.
they'll be here next week,
Yeah.
so.
What I want to just add here is, to me, like presenting this figure of 3.16, it is just misleading. Like, I agree with whatever you are saying, that, you know, they are fiscally responsible, but this 5.87, this should also be highlighted, that the actual increase is this much and why it is because of the reduction in debt service. So
Although they do
presenting-
put it, while they didn't use percentages, they did put in that they're reducing, that their
noted
debt
it.
service is going down by almost 2 million.
Oh, it's
Yes.
sitting right
They
there,
put it in
yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah.
So-
No, I mean the percentage or the total increase in millions of dollars, like budget.
Yeah, but we don't do
compared to
that.
the-
I was gonna
Right.
say.
I was
The
gonna say,
town
where-
doesn't, the
where
town
else do we
doesn't do that. We don't come out and say, if our budget is 1.5% and we reduced our debt service by 3%, we don't spike that out and say that. We just say, hey, overall, the town budget is going
Like,
up.
I,
And
I
here's
don't,
every
I don't
line
disagree
item.
with
No,
you,
what
if
I'm-
it's apples
yeah,
to
so
apples
I mean, what
across
I'm
the.
saying is, yes, so the town should start doing that too, because 3.16 is a misleading figure.
Well, it's a big number,
The
yeah.
real increase is 5.87.
So if that's the case, and I agree with Kevin, that if that's what we are gonna ask of them, then we need to make sure that we're doing that with our Board of Education. And so you need to make sure you let Dr.
Yeah.
Scarpetti know that you wanna see that.
Yeah, everybody
And
should do
that-
the right thing,
and
this is
that
what I'm
we are
saying.
being very, very transparent about that as well. As
Yes.
well as a 22% fund balance,
Yeah,
which needs to be, make sure that we are being very clear and transparent with that. Because that is always a question of this town, is what exactly is the fund balance? And we always kind of say, well, between 15, 18%, sometimes 20. If we're at 22%, we need to make sure we're being very
no,
transparent.
no, I agree.
But we're not. That 22% was last year,
I'm
we're
just
at a
saying.
higher budget.
Well,
I know,
I'm gonna
you're,
be very
I agree with
clear.
you in concept, yeah, we'll put it, you
And
know, we
and
do that with
can
John
be very
Sheets.
clear, based on our, our audit at the end of the fiscal year '24, we were at 22%.
Correct. On that
We are-
day.
On that, on.
The next day,
July
we have a
1.
new budget with a
Right.
higher number, so that 22 drops just by,
Yeah, right.
by whatever it
By
is.
all of our various
19 and a half,
services.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
so,
But that, my
but-
point is that it is fluid, right?
No, you're right.
And so even this 3.1, the 3.16, you saw that they found a 0.5% by cutting things.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, to me, like conversely, they should be more transparent with 5.87. To me, I'm concerned that they're coming in at 3.16 when teacher salaries is 4.5. That means they are underfunding a lot of other things.
Right. No, and I
No, not with
totally
the
agree
debt
with you,
going down.
like, but we
Well,
also agree,
or,
like,
yeah, right, or
also
If we didn't have
agree
the debt going down, then you have an
numbers should
issue.
not be misleading, like taxpayers should know exactly what's the increase.
Oh, it's in the
Like
budget.
3.16.
It's in the budget,
Yeah,
that's transparent, because there's
if you
just,
start
there's a
throwing out
million
bunch of
lines.
percentages,
Yeah.
I think that it could be confusing to people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that people want to
Especially with the
see,
Amity
what am
model,
I?
because you got 3 different towns.
Right,
and-
what am I gonna put, yeah, right,
Yeah,
it's
the-
already confusing because we're gonna
Yeah, the
say
ADM,
3.16.
right.
Bethany is psyched that they're saying or going down a little bit, we're staying the same, and then Woodbridge is gonna say, yeah, it's a 3.16, but it's really a 6% for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's no good. So there's percentages all over the place, and my point is that when you start throwing out, it's 5.87, but it's really 3.16, I think that it confuses people and it leads to consternation where there shouldn't necessarily be some. I think pointing out that we had a huge reduction in our debt service up to almost close to $2 million, which is why we're able to come in at a 3.16, is transparent enough. Unless we're gonna start putting out multiple percentages across the board.
Yeah.
It could be noted, I mean, 3.16, you could note, it would be, just say, say without the debt service.
You already did it.
Right, it's
It's,
there,
it's,
there.
it's
The
talked
exercise
about,
is
it's
done.
on TV,
Right,
it's,
done.
we're done.
Right?
All right,
It's good, we're good.
Kevin?
we're good, Jim?
Absolutely.
So we'll move on to discuss and approve department meeting schedule for all-day budget meeting on February 7th.
All right, John, this must be a PDF you sent me, right?
Okay, it's pretty much the same as last year. I dropped tax collector since he was here November.
Yep.
And Mary Shaw didn't need to come in because last year she was coming in over the early voting and stuff. The one thing I did add is I gave the police extra 15 minutes, and I gave Bob Britton extra 15 minutes this time, because unlike past years when we had the Oakland West Capital Committee, each department did their own capital requests this year, so they're gonna present their capital with their budget. So I thought both of those two needed a little more time for that, because of that. Other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. I talked to Terry, she's okay at 2 o'clock on that day to present the Amity budget. I'll try and get a new electronic copy of what she's presenting to give to you all before that date.
John, one of the things I would like to see is the Excel document, that's the back of their presentation is all Excel.
For their capital.
Yeah, they used to, I've asked it of Terry most years, and it shouldn't come as a surprise.
Can I
She's
just ask
very, it's very easy for her to, get it, in other words.
procedurally, how come we don't have Orange Board of Ed come?
I'll talk to them too. I did talk to Dr. Scarpetti. He won't be ready to present his budget until Monday, March 3rd, tentatively. If he could get
Typically,
earlier. If he could get
They're
earlier.
late.
Come in
If he
January.
could get
No, I know,
earlier,
I
I'm
mean,
trying to
they-
get him in February for our meeting in
They
February.
it's just the way that they do their budget, it's just a little
Yeah.
bit later? Okay.
Hey, John? I did a little analysis. I'm looking at 75 minutes for a $7.8 million budget. I'm looking at 60 million for a $5.5 million budget. Good. So those things seem to be relatively in the same ballpark. I'm seeing half that time for community services, 1.3 million. And then Danny comes in for 30 minutes, a little under $1 million. Then we're investing another 30 minutes for Kathy for about 850,000. For me, I'm not sure why we're spending 30 minutes for a $169,000 budget with Conservation Commission. Particularly when later on, we're gonna spend 45 minutes for 27.6 million on Amity.
Well, that's open-ended, I think, because that could go
Right.
Yeah, but.
the rest of the afternoon.
I agree with you, but
'Cause
why
it's
30
2:45.
minutes for 160K? I mean, we could talk to anybody
You
for
wanna-
as
you
long
wanna-
as we want to talk.
You can change these. These are just my
Suggestions.
recommendations for it. You want to change
Because they
it
had some problems at the
12:45 to
Racebrook
1?
track last
Yeah.
year, and
Well,
they were
she's-
going for grants
she's-
and doing other
She's
things.
asking for that money that I put in the budget last year that I misunderstood her, 180,000. She's asking for that. She didn't get that grant that she thought she would.
I think it should be 15 minutes at best.
Okay, then what I suggest then is, extend your lunch to an hour. Instead of pushing Paul up, because then you're gonna have a break between 1:45 and 2 before Amity comes. I'd give you an hour for lunch, some of yous go home for calls and everything.
I don't need an hour for lunch.
I eat in
I don't want to be
8 minutes.
listening to a $167,000 budget for a half hour.
Well,
it doesn't mean it'll
she's
be a half
done.
an hour.
Yeah.
Well, if you have it on a sheet of paper, it says it'll be a half hour.
Tell me what to change, I'll change to whatever you want. I'm here all day, so.
I mean, we usually have a half hour for lunch, no?
Last time, some of you people left and didn't make it back in time, so I'm giving you more time.
Some of you people.
I'm looking
Me, I
around
was
who
here,
I
I
was
was here.
the-
I never
I
left.
don't think, it wasn't me.
The violators are, Joe. I mean, that could be a major.
Violation.
You want a half hour for lunch, we'll make it 12 to 12:30.
Well, what does
doesn't
that
matter
do?
to me.
Well, does that mean, rather than, like Kevin said, the MD thing probably goes more than 45 minutes, can we move that up a bit? In other words,
Get
I
them
don't
here at
know.
1:45.
I've already talked to Terry about 2 o'clock. I don't know. I can't speak to her
do we have any
schedule.
capital things we can talk about? That
No,
would be a
because you're
capital
talking
quote?
about capital.
They're all gonna be included in the budgets.
Yeah,
Jim, maybe
But I
we
mean,
can
a
bring,
summary
maybe
capital.
we can bring OV&A in for 20 minutes.
no, no.
Needs more than that.
Should give her a couple of banker's boxes and bring it to the office. I think it's time. We'll have that conversation.
So Amity is fixed at 2.
I would say so.
Is there anyone else we should be talking to? Well, I think right inside here, we have a summary of our budgets. Very handy 4-pager, by the way, right at the front end.
Well, we took out the tax
You
collector and
wanna-
town clerk.
You want to talk to Mark Brancasi? That'll be an hour.
The assessor, yeah, we don't need to
On
do
a
that.
good day,
Well,
though.
half of it would be outside because of rules.
It's either extend lunch or just, when she comes, if it's not a half hour, we move on.
I would just ask that we just don't advertise it as a half hour or something. I mean, guys, $5 million budget, $1 million budget, we can do it 30 minutes at 100 and, last year's budget, 25,000, this year we're asking for 169.
Well,
and
I'll
we
do
wanna
it.
do a half hour,
I'll make her 12:45 to 1.
okay?
I'll push Paul up 1 to 1:30,
Okay.
and you'll have a break from 1:30 to 2.
Okay,
That's fine.
All right,
so,
all right, so is there a motion on the modified schedule?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second by Ann, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous. Great. Item 8, discuss and approve meeting dates for budget hearing, April 23rd or 24th.
Okay, Jim, I think you might want to put up a calendar
I
so
got
we
it right
can
here,
see.
boss. It's either Wednesday or Thursday from my
All right.
view of it. Here's a calendar.
I would put in March 3rd as tentative for the Orange Board of Ed.
Yep,
Okay,
I'm not sure where we're gonna be able to meet. We may not be able to meet here because that's,
we've met there in the past,
yeah, we may have to do that.
and they have it set up
Last
for
2 years.
OGAT and everything else
Yeah,
too, so
yeah, yeah.
Last 2 years we've been there.
it's about,
I think you're right.
Okay.
Worked out well.
And I think we'll need probably 1 or 2 meetings after that.
Where's your finish line, John? Last year you gave us a finish line,
20.
helped us focus.
26 or 27, I'd like to be done by.
Okay,
And I'm unavailable from the 15th through the 20th.
Spring training, baby.
No,
No?
is that what it is?
Stevie baseball,
Same thing. Going to Florida. for
Which
baseball.
one, John? In April,
March.
March?
March. So I don't know if you want to put some tentative meetings down for March, 1 or 2, and so
Give
you
it a
have it
look.
locked in your calendars.
Let's give it a look. We talk about, so you want to be done here in this zone here, right? So we got 2 notes here, right? And the second one, complete by, all right, March 26th.
And that's because
Or
I gotta get
27.
it printed in the paper and all.
Okay. So these are, yeah. So need that. All right, sounds like a plan. All right, anybody got an opening bid in March? I'll give you one.
to the 10th.
About the 10th?
I won't be here, but that's,
No 10th, oh,
All right, we have AFC then, but after 7's fine, 7 o'clock's fine, yeah.
Or are you are you out that whole week?
I'm just, I have to do a NEASC visit from the 9th to the 12th in Massachusetts,
Oh, well, how about everybody on the Thursday then?
13th.
Thursday, I cannot come, I teach on Thursday evening.
Okay.
all right, so we're still butts in here. How about that same week of the 3rd?
Yeah, like the,
Wednesday,
Wednesday's better than.
What nights do you
Well,
teach?
Tuesday and Thursday evenings.
How about,
I don't, If you want me to have cuts, I don't think I could have them that quick.
Yeah, because we'll have the Board of Ed on Monday and then, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
you need
mean,
a
I
week
could
for
have,
cuts.
I could have cuts the week of the 10th.
Okay, so Ajit's kind of saying, Anna's out that whole week, Anna, the 10th?
Just till the 12th. I could do the night of the 12th,
Oh,
I think. I might have a board meeting.
okay,
Let me look.
Because, John, you're going from the 15th?
Right.
all right, so John says he can, let's do this.
So I think March 12th is what we gotta try to target,
Yep,
because the next week he's out.
good, so cuts done, March 7th, by March 7th or something like that. We can edit the words, but everybody got the idea, I guess.
The 12th.
So
The
12th?
That's the meeting day, so he doesn't have to have the cuts by the 7th, he's gotta have them for the 12th.
No, he said the 7th, he said he'd have it done by the end of the week. I'm just documenting what he said, I'd be happy to change it. So one would be the 12th, we have the 17th as our regular meeting, Kev?
Are these gonna be at 7?
John's not gonna be here.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I'd like to see you cancel that one.
Which one was that one? No objections here.
17th.
Yep.
March 17th, Patty's Day, okay, I'm good.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
it sounds like the 12th could be a long one, right? If we need 2 meetings, and we can't do.
I mean, theoretically, if you agree to my cuts and you're happy with the budget and the mill rate, that basically could be it on the 12th.
So I say we
Or
go
we
12 and we add the
Wrap it up.
24th. if we can-
24?
If we can do that Monday.
All right, so we're
Okay.
gonna have to put,
And then you'll go to print on the 27th.
Yeah.
so John,
would
you're gonna
even be
have
better.
to, get rid of this one,
So go
right?
March 12th and March 24th if we can
24th.
do
What
that.
time on the 12th?
7?
Probably
Okay.
6? It's gonna be a
I-
long one, we know that.
I know,
so.
I can't, I
What do you
have a
got?
conflict with, I have we have a subcommittee meeting of my board.
You
can
wanna
make
start
it
at
at
6 and have them
7?
come at 7? Can you come at 7?
I can tell them I have to get out of
Well, if you
Brookfield
wanna
by
start at
6:30.
6, that's fine.
But she can't make it.
But
at
she'd come at 7.
Can't make it 6.
So we start at 7.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if we have to go to.
I'll try to
midnight,
get
we
it,
can have
I'll
it
try to
done.
have
That's
them move
all.
it to
I'd
the
like to
13th.
see everybody here for the cuts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll try to see if I can have them move it to the 13th, so.
So it sounds like we have the 7th in February, Kev, and the 24th
No, the 12th.
12.
Yeah.
in
12th.
February.
Oh, February.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
December.
reading a calendar
Right,
and.
right.
No,
Well, I'm looking at March.
No,
Yeah.
March is the
February
3, the 12, and the 24, cancel the 17, complete by 25, 26 in March.
Yeah.
All good?
Good.
Okay.
Get it done earlier this
So
year.
we don't have John 15 to 20, so that's Saturday through Thursday.
So
He'll
Feb-
get the cuts done for the 12th, and we have a goal to get it done by March 26 or 27. John, you also had
Well,
up there.
actually, you're gonna be done by the 24th if you're meeting.
Yeah,
And
the
it's all
24th.
me,
Well, yeah, but
it's
I
all
was
me,
just-
the rest of
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Now, John, you also had up there whether April 23 or 24.
Oh, yeah. let's
That's
go
for the
to that
budget
now.
hearing.
Yeah.
That's the budget hearing. I don't mind each day.
Yeah, do it at 24th.
Do
I
the
would do
24th,
24,
okay.
because Kevin, you're
Because
you're
now-
going till the 21st, Kevin, or when do you get done this year?
April 15th.
Oh, so you're gonna be well rested.
Yeah,
Because now that we picked the 24th of April. the
Oh,
Board of
hold on.
Select-
We're gonna have to make a motion on the 24th.
Yeah, let's do
But-
that.
All right, now,
But are we
Ajit
done?
might have classes on the 24th.
I have.
But we never have the whole, everybody there anyway.
Okay.
It's always on that
You guys decide,
Yeah,
huh?
it's a Thursday night and we just, because
Yeah, some
it's
people are
basically Jim
golfing
talks and
that
I
night.
nod my head.
I
I
hope
think
you'll be
we've
golfing
heard
that
that.
night.
All right, well,
Get you start early.
We need to pick that date for April because the Board of Selectmen next month then needs to set up
Right.
their town
So that's just
meeting
for us
and
to
then
present
their
the budget.
Yeah.
I won't be here in the morning. I have like I'm on research committee, that work.
where should tell Kevin.
Kevin, on February 7th,
Yep,
I won't be here in the morning. Like I'm on a search committee for a faculty.
okay.
So Friday morning I won't be here. I will join in.
So George, Joe, you got second Monday is the
That works,
AFC, is
right?
that? the
Yeah,
deal?
that'll be good.
Yes.
That's fine. It'll work. All right, so we have February 7th. And then are we going right till March 3rd?
No,
You got
February 24.
Feb 24.
Oh, we do have a meeting then? Okay.
Regular meeting.
Yeah. When are we going to do, Kevin was hot on the trail earlier, OVNA?
It's not part of the budget. That's
Special
separate.
revenue fund. Yeah.
What?
It's basically a special revenue.
It's coming out of fund balance.
But it is coming.
Yeah, it's impacting.
This-
When
that
are we
needs to
gonna
be-
do this?
Enough now.
I would wait until after you're done with the budget.
Yeah, May.
So in May?
And that might be a joint meeting, or it might be an executive session joint meeting.
OVNA in May.
All right. So right now,
Yeah.
we're gonna add the 12th, the 24th. We have February 24th. So we've done that. That we
So
just
we've got
got scheduled. There's no
7th,
motion on
24th,
that,
3rd, 12th,
and
and 24th,
if needed.
if needed.
Could be done on the 12th. All right, so now we actually need a motion to approve the budget hearing to April 24th.
I'll make a motion for that.
Second by Ajit. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstaining, unanimous. Thank you.
Budget hearing.
And just FYI, as in past all-day budget meetings, we'll have coffee and donuts in the morning and pizza for lunch.
Something
Right.
new.
You gonna get the pizza from Zupardi's?
They don't deliver, unfortunately.
All right.
They don't have to.
Item number 9, discussion and approval of minutes from November 18th, 2024, regular meeting.
All right, let me get them up there. John, you batting lead off there, man?
Yes. On page 2, I don't have too many. Deb, on page 2, under 5A, the paragraph that's with Mr. Britton, the very last sentence, the board, I would put of selectmen.
Yep, you already, my copy has that in there,
Oh, mine does.
but you hand wrote it.
You hand wrote it.
Oh, well, you must, you got a copy of mine.
Yeah.
Well, let's get it official, team.
Then on page 3, under 9,
We're almost
next
there,
2 years.
Johnny.
next 2 years,
Yep.
Let's read that one, John.
Mr. Sifro reported that the next 2 years it will be, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Next 2 years, there will be a phase in.
There will be, it should be the next 2 years, there'll be a phase.
We'll have to complete the phase in.
At 37, yeah. that's what it would-
37.5%
Add-
each year.
Each year.
Right. Mr. Sifro reported that there'll be a phase in at 37.5% for the next 2 years.
And if I may, since if anybody's watching, that may not make sense. Where this comes from is this. What we showed at the town budget hearing last year was we were going to phase in over a 4-year period, right? This is the slide that summed it all up. And so we cut the phase-in amount, or the reval increase, that's the reval of phase-in. That 488, using the example of taxes for 495 Lambert Road, that 488 got spread over 122 over all of 4 years. We already did the 122, so we have 366 left. What we need to do is cut that 366 not into 3 years, right? 75% left, right, but into 2 years, so 75% divided by 2 means 37.5%. It doesn't mean your taxes are going up 37.5%. It's that a total phase-in amount, the amount attributed to only the reval will be over 2 more years rather than 3, which we presented last year. Now, over and above that will be any budget increases from whatever source comes from. But I thought that that would be helpful in case anybody,
So
needs a reminder. I do, I know that.
Instead of $122, it will be 183.
Bless.
Yeah,
Bless you.
in that particular case. Yours will be higher.
Yeah.
This is my house. All right, Johnny.
John, you had one
Okay,
more?
yeah, one more, at the bottom, page 3, that last sentence that starts with my name, can we drop that all? That's just repeating what was above there.
Okay.
That's all I had.
So strike the entire sentence?
Yeah, yes.
All right. Could I go back to page 2? And John, I'm gonna need your help for sure. It's in the section funding request, section 5. And it's kinda, the math doesn't add up for me. We say we need, in the first paragraph under A, we need 2,598,509.50. So I was thinking that the two motions should have added up to those two, to that full amount. And I didn't see that happening. We have 1,093,481. And then in the second motion, we have 1,765,000 even. And if we add those two up, we don't get that number.
What do we get? Did we add Cardinal to that?
Cardinal Engineering?
Yeah.
Well, that
Oh, no.
may well be, Johnny. 78,000, let me try it. I just hand did it over here. 6, 3, no. No, I don't.
Yeah, Cardinal was 137,
As a matter of
298.
fact, John, when I added up, I got 1765 even, right? And then I go 1093 and some change, right? 481. So I added them up, and they're easy to add, right? So I got, it's a 2,008,000, 58, 481. But 2,008,000 is way higher than 2,005,000.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to go back to the tape on this. See what we did and look
You wanna
at-
go see what the materials are that we had? I have the folder here.
Do you have
Yeah.
Britton's?
No, it
email?
won't take long to get to there. And this was in, what, November, right?
November 18th.
18th, thank you. Okay, so which one of the files would it be, Johnny?
Do
What's that?
Britton. The
This
two
one?
there, that one and then Cardinal Engineering.
Okay, so here's the number.
Oh, it's contingency.
Contingency.
That's the difference.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, here's this.
Yeah.
Where's the 2,005,000?
Right there,
Oh, I
contractor's
see,
bid
Cap.
price, yeah.
I see what
Yeah.
you're saying. So what we need to
So
do.
we actually don't have the right number here. I don't
Correct.
think.
Okay, going back to this number here is the wrong number. Is that correct, Johnny?
Go back to.
That's just the base bid.
That's just the base bid.
Correct.
Go back to his email.
I will. Let me just find it. Oh, you can't do it. Here we go.
Just minimize, yeah.
No, it's when you're in the same attribute.
There you go.
So that 2.5 should really be 2.8.
2858 50950. So
Correct.
Deb,
I have it.
you got it?
Yep.
So now what we're looking at is this number is not correct. The 50950 is good. It should be 858 in that zone there. Right?
2858481.
Okay. And then that will make the two consistent with the total.
Right.
Okay, that's the first thing I had a problem with. Okay, we already did number 9, which we threw the slide up to kind of clarify that. And that's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Any other changes or corrections?
I don't have a change, but I have a quick question. John, under number 9 in the minutes, it says Mr. Brancisi will need to request money in the budget during the fiscal year for a full revaluation and walkthrough of homes to be inspected. I mean, it looks like a comprehensive statistical reval. And those revals typically go for, of that scope and magnitude, go between 600 and 900,000.
He's estimating between 300,000 and 400,000. We've told them to prepare the documents and put it out to bid shortly because we're gonna be out against every other town in New Haven County.
Right, right. So is there a way that we can, like, that reval's not gonna happen for the next,
It's gonna start in the fall,
oh, next fall?
this
Oh,
fall.
okay,
Even though we have 2 more years.
gotcha.
Hey, Kevin, thank you for bringing this up, because I had a mental observation as I was reading the last sentence in number 9.
Yeah,
Have we ever had people walking from outside doing evaluations of the property, the assets, by walking through everybody's home?
You don't have to let them in, but
But yes,
you have to do a
Right.
statistical evaluation, and they have to be in a certain percentage of homes.
it's every 10 years, I think they do it, right?
Every,
Used to be every
And
5.
they just leave a note. if
you
they
gotta do
can't.
whatever, you gotta do a revaluation every 5, I'm not sure.
Right.
If it's every 10 that you have to do with the houses.
Yeah.
They're actually, you have to measure them, they measure them from the outside, they look for differences. One of the other things we started doing since I've been here, and we're gonna do it again, we're gonna get a price on it, we do a flyover of the town, and we get a map, and Mr. Brancasi's able to put the map against the previous map of the flyover, and he's able to identify porches,
Decks.
decks,
If people hadn't gotten
everything
permits
that
and that
people
kind of
put in without a permit.
who would do that?
I don't think we're, I wish I knew how receptive our citizens, homeowners will be to this
Well, if
process.
you don't let them in, you have a problem if you wanna fight it on a reevaluation.
Yeah, because they're going off the field card, right? Going-
Yeah.
They're going off.
No, I have
yeah.
nothing to hide myself, I'm
Yeah.
just, you know, the house has been the house since I've been there 42 years. I mean, I'm just wondering what other people might feel, you know? Particularly as, you know, guys like us, we get a
This has
little
been
younger every
going
day.
on for,
It's always been that way,
yeah.
Yeah.
but it's, again, I could speak for my neighbors, I've never let anybody in.
Right,
Whether you redid a bathroom, whatever, it doesn't matter. Because
Right.
they come in, oh, there's hardwood floor, and 10 years ago there was shag carpet, guess what?
Right.
You know, that's, but
Yeah.
that's what happens.
Yeah.
But it's, since I've been here, it's, they've been in my neighborhood.
Okay, I just, thank you. I don't
And then
wanna
we gotta take it up with the
extend
state, not with us, so,
Yeah, it's not our law.
you know, we have no say in it.
yeah.
All right, item 10. Oh, wait, we need a motion to approve as
I'll make the
amended.
motion.
Amend this.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous. Thank you. Item number 10, review revenue and expense reports for January 2025. Is there anything anybody's concerned with, since we'll probably be looking at updated reports next week to go,
Yeah.
you
I'll
know,
have-
current budget to the current, the new request,
I'll
but
have
John?
them, I'll have them on your seat next Friday.
John, we're 6.5 months in, months in. How you feeling about expenses?
Yeah, there's a few places where we're gonna have a little problem, but
In the overall?
overall, we're okay.
Okay. The revenue side, we got you and we've got Artie's, right? Artie's is helpful, all right, in terms of, but he's basically saying we're going to just barely get our revenue target as of his estimate right now. That's what I read into it.
I can see it will slow up in some of the revenues, not in the tax area, which is the biggest area, which is good, but I'm not sure we're gonna make some of our building permits and our real estate conveyances, some of those.
Yeah, but
You
what
know,
he's saying,
I don't think we're gonna see a $2 million surplus in the revenue side
but what
this
he's
year.
saying is that
No.
we're gonna go by the finish line,
Yeah, and I'm
147,000
not
ahead
sure-
on an $83,000
I'm
revenue.
not sure we're gonna
base.
get there to that.
Okay.
Because he's taken, like I just said, the permits and all, and still figuring that we're gonna make it.
So
hit
you're saying the
those.
147 surplus might be a
Maybe.
$400,000 deficit,
Yeah,
to throw a number out there.
yeah.
And
It's gonna be close to break even, I think.
And we have in this budget right now, 1.2 million from the fund balance,
Right. Right.
which in other years, when we put fund balance money in, we didn't have to,
We hadn't put fund balance money in to balance the budget in a
Right.
few years.
so that means we kind of built a hole here, right? I mean, we
We still have,
we went in
we still
eyes wide
got,
open.
we still have a
Oh, yeah,
healthy fund balance.
Yeah, we knew we had to
so
do it, because
You'll
we had
have,
the reval and
Yep.
the
Yeah.
to shift.
you'll have, I'll give you your sheet for next Friday on your seats too, on the fund balance,
Okay.
where we are, so you can see that.
John, on here, because I'm gonna change my comment, he's not putting in the Amity. And
I
he does
think he-
record it on Amity.
I think I thought he did. I thought he had.
And
it.
with miscellaneous,
I think it's a miscellaneous, oh, he didn't put it in, you're right.
So we're saved again.
So, yeah. He probably forgot.
Because unless he reduced the expense side, and we have a much lower
Yeah.
expense for the March payment, we've got that, and I don't remember what the number is for this year,
It's like 500, I think.
500.
561 or something like that, I think I remember.
So that gets us back to,
No, it couldn't be 560 because it was
I mean, the biggest,
10.
on the expense side, the biggest deficit we have is in legal right now.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's because of the reevaluation.
So-
He's got probably 50% of the properties on the post road fighting over their reevaluation.
which went
They went
down in
down.
comparison to us.
But not according to them, not according to enough. You getting it? It's just the thing with, I'll say it, Amazon. Everybody goes to Amazon to buy now. Nobody goes into the brick and mortar stores. The Connecticut Post goes back to Milford every year for a reduction of their appraisal. It's just the way it is right now.
Anyway, that's what's driving the legal budget.
But Party City's leaving too.
Yeah.
Another big building vacant, although they don't have to pay
I think they're
taxes.
going, they're
But-
closing
Yeah.
across the state, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, the owners always have to pay the taxes, but that leads them
Yeah, sure.
to say,
The one good thing is, at the corner of Bull Hill Lane and Route 1, there used to be the Subway in that standalone building. They're gonna knock
Oh,
that
yeah.
building down and a coffee shop is going in.
It was the old Nicoletti's.
Yeah, in our day, you're in my day.
all right, so Kevin, you're saying we got the meeting next Friday, we'll be looking at these. and-
Updated ones to what they're asking for too.
Yep, okay. I'm good. Sorry.
And item number 11.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
You're in PJ's seat.
That's it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Meeting adjourned at 8:49. Thank you very much.
All right.